Hello, bookish friends in the internet. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Drew, and this is Drew's Ambitious Reading. And for today's video, I am here to do my August wrap-up. And now, normally, I would have my letterboard, which is behind my book haul stack, but I'm going to do things a little out of order, so you might see this shirt again when I talk about my August book haul. Anyways, I am here to do my August wrap-up. I had a great reading month in August, and I was really happy with what I read. In July, I only read 5 books, I think, but in the month of August, we read 10 things, I think. I have one missing, so I can't count. But I read all of these in August, and I have one book missing because it was from my library, and I've already returned it to my library. So I'm really happy with what I read this month, and I just cannot wait to talk about all the books I read. Some of these I read for Readathon, which was hosted by Donna over at Mom's Book Collection, and I want to say thank you to her because I didn't read all my books on my TBR. I read 3 out of like the 10 books I had on that TBR, so I'll leave my video announcement for that up above or down below. But yeah, I also read some arcs, I completed some series, I've cried in a couple of these books, and I have a majority of these are all in a reading log from either my first week of August or my second week of August, which I'll leave up above or down below. Anything I mentioned and any people I mentioned will be linked down below, so definitely go check out the description box. But without further ado, let's jump into my August wrap-up. So normally I'll talk about my current reads, but right now I really don't know what to read. I was trying to finish up The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I took my desk jacket off because I don't like having a hardcover jacket on my books while reading. But I am so close to finishing this book. I'm on page 275 and I have this much left to read. So I'm definitely going to finish this today. This will be in my September wrap-up. And my current audiobook is... my current audiobook is Fire by Kirsten Cashore. I am buddy reading this book with my friend Taylor, and we wanted to do a buddy read of something this month for September, and we were like, since it's sequel September, let's focus on our sequels. And we have quite a few sequels, me and Taylor realized when we were FaceTiming the other night, and we were like, why don't we start with this? And then there's another book that we have, but I'm gonna wait until we get further into the month to let you know what that is. But anyways, I'm pretty excited for this, and I'm already 4 chapters into it. I haven't moved my bookmark because I was listening to the audiobook while doing chores today. But yeah, I'm currently physically reading The Only One Left, and this will definitely get finished today. And then I'm listening to the audiobook of Fire by Kirsten Cashore, which I'm buddy reading this with my friend Taylor. So you might see both of these books in my September wrap-up, and if you do, yay, future me. So let's actually jump into the wrap-up. So my stats for this month, I had 0 1-star, 0 2-star, 2 3-stars, 3 4-stars. 4 of these were 5-star reads. 3 of these are arcs I had. 5 of these were audiobooks. 1 book of the month edition. We finally read one of our book of the months. I'm so happy. 1 of these was a buddy read, 0 book club picks, 2 completed series, 1 graphic novel. 1 of these were the library book and I've already returned it. 3 of these I physically read. 7 of these, this isn't 7, this is 5. 7 of these I had as a 2023 new releases, and 3 of these books were on my August TBR video / TBR list that I have in my bullet journal. My page count, I forgot what my page count was because I wrote it down in my Owlcrate journal. So let me open this up real quick. I'm so unorganized and I hate it. So I read a total of 9 books. I was 1 off. 9 books, and my page count was 3,163 pages. And then I have a new to me author that I really enjoyed, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes. Anyways, My biggest book of the month, which I was really shocked at, was Bonesmith by Nikki Peretta. This is coming in at 460 pages. And then my smallest book of the month, which I'm not shocked at because this is a graphic novel, and that was Star Wars The High Republic Balance of the Force by Kevin Scott. This is coming in at 120 pages exactly. So yeah, my biggest, my smallest, and then my favorite is either, oof, I have a tie. Well, this one is a reread, so I'm not really counting it as a reread, or I'm not really counting it as a favorite, but this was a 5-star read for me, even though it was a reread. But my actual favorite was a tie between Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong or One of Us is Back by Karen M. McManus. So yeah, these were my 5-star reads. Oh yeah, also Furia the Dragon Goddess. I'm spoiling my whole I'm spoiling my whole wrap up. Fury of the Dragon Goddess was a 5-star read, so ow, I just put it on my thumb. So all of these were 5-star reads for me this month, and I'm really happy with that because all of these were my most anticipated reads, minus this one because this was a reread. Anyways, I'll be right back. I have to go fix my stack that I just ruined, so I'll be right back and I will talk to you here in a few minutes. The stack is fit. The stack is fixed. Wow. So here are all the books I read and what I thought of them and what my star ratings of them are. So the first book I read in the month of August was an arc, and that was Bonesmith by Nikki Peretta. This also completed my goal of reading something for Buzzword, and the Buzzword for August was body parts, and I didn't realize that this had the word bone in it, like, until I finished the book, and I was like, oh my goodness, yes, I can use this for Buzzword. Because originally I was going to read 7 Faceless Saints and Silver and the Bone, but I didn't get to those 2 books. But then I remembered this had the word bone in the title, obviously. So I was like, oh, this will be good. This can count as my Buzzword. Anyways, Bonesmith by Nikki Peretta. I got this arc sent to me by my friend Charlie. She sent this to me my way because she tried to read this herself, but she DNF'd it. And I'm curious to see why she DNF'd it. If you read Gideon the Ninth and you want to look something similar to that, definitely check out this book. I haven't read Gideon the Ninth myself, but I definitely can see the comparison from what I know about both series so far. This is the first book in a brand new duology, and I have sorry, I'm hearing crazy sounds outside. And I have a weekly vlog of me talking about this. I brought this to San Diego with me last month, and I think this is my weekly 2 vlog, so I'll leave my videos down below. But I really enjoyed this, and it was such a fun and interesting, fast-paced read. So the chapters was really, really short. And there was a part in the book where I thought our main character was gonna die, and she didn't, luckily. And again, I'm sorry for spoilers, but I was just really shocked that that scene had happened. There is a love triangle in here that I was not expecting, and I was not expecting there to be romance, even though it's by an author I really loved. This is the same author who wrote the Crown of Feathers trilogy, and I love that trilogy, and I enjoyed this one for what it was. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of this like I was with her other series, but I'm still really excited to check out book 2. Book 2 comes out next year in 2024. I don't even know what the title is for book 2, but once I start working at my second job that I just applied for, and if I get it, I'm going to reward myself by buying a finished copy of this book, because like I said, this is an art copy I got from my friend Charlie. I really enjoyed this book. It's really hard for me to tell you why I enjoy these books. It was just super action-packed. There's a male character who reminds me of a young Indiana Jones, and if you read this book, you would know why. And yeah, it's just such a fun, fast-paced read, and it's perfect because it's kind of spooky as well. There's a few scenes when I was reading this book that literally gave me the chills, and I was like, oh my gosh, this will be like a perfect fall book to read. So yeah, definitely check this out if you want a good, fast-paced, chosen one trying to self-discover these powers that she has and doesn't know how to use them. Yeah, it's hard. I really want to know how y'all can explain books about what you love. But we follow our main character, Ren, who is this bonesmith who uh, is a ghost fighting warrior, and she is determined to reclaim her family respect. And so it's her trying to reclaim her family respect, and it's just her traveling through the House of Iron. Um, it was really fast paced, like I said already, and I really enjoyed it. So I give this 4 out of 5 stars. And again, if you want to hear more of my thoughts or feelings about this book, check out my weekly vlog. I don't know where to put you. I'm gonna put you there. The next book I read, I gave this book 3 stars, and I was kind of sad because I was really looking forward to this. And that is Star Wars The High Republic Balance of the Force by Kevin Scott. I loved the artwork in here. The artwork is amazing. Like, you see, that's all the book is. It's just beautiful artwork. So that's why I actually gave it 3 stars. I could have given it 4 stars just for the artwork alone. But the storyline felt a little confusing for me, and it felt a little repetitive, especially in the very beginning. If you read this book, I'll be curious to see, or excuse me, if you read this graphic novel, I'll be curious to see what you guys thought of this. But I am happy that I read it, because now I can continue on. Oh my gosh, continue on to the rest of the phase 2 books. But yeah, not a whole lot really happened in this one. This was just more political stuff in here, which is not my favorite thing about Star Wars, especially in their TV shows. But I'm not a huge political person myself, so I think that's why I didn't really enjoy this one. And it felt very open-ended of an ending. And I think there's supposed to be a second volume coming, but I'm not too sure. So storyline felt confusing for me in the very beginning, just because I think I read it at the wrong time. So I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. And again, I'm sure I talked about this in one of my weekly vlogs, so I'll leave it down below or in the description, or up above in the cards. The next book I read was a reread for me. I buddy read this with my friend Sydney, and I think Sydney didn't finish this one yet, but that's just usually how our buddy reads go. And now I own book 2. I bought book 2 recently, spoiler alert for my August book haul, and that is House of Salt and Sorrow by Aaron A. Craig. Like I just said, this was a reread for me, and I absolutely loved my reread of this the second time around. First time around, I really enjoyed it for what it was, and it was very dark and spooky, and there was actually some stuff in this book that I forgot that happened, and some of the stuff that I forgot became my favorite part. Like, I forgot this book opened up with a funeral, and I was like, oh, this is such a sad beginning and a sad ending as well. It was really spooky. Another great book that is perfect for the fall time. I'm really excited to buddy read book 2 with you, Sydney, in August or September, as it is September now. So pretty excited to start that soon, but first we got to start our other buddy read that we have. Anyways, can I tell you what this is about? Probably not. We follow 3 sisters, one named Annalyn, and the other ones I completely forgot. But we follow Annalyn, who lives in this manor by the sea, who, in the very beginning, her oldest sister passes away because of an accident that she was part of. And now it's like a mystery fantasy novel that Annalyn's trying to solve her sister's death. And yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen in book 2, because at first, when the author wrote this book, it wasn't going to be a series. It was a standalone fantasy novel. So I'm pretty curious to see what's going to happen in book 2. And again, book 2 is one of my most anticipated reads of this year, so I cannot wait to get to it. But yeah, this was an Owlcrate book that I got a while back, and that's really all I can say. There's a ballroom dance scene in here that I enjoyed. There is another love triangle in this book. These characters are morally gray, so if you love all those type of tropes, definitely check this out. And once again, I'm excited for the sequel. I did give this 5 stars the second time around, but that's just because of my enjoyment the second time around. The first time around, I read it during the pandemic, and it was just me forgetting some stuff. So I'm happy that I read this in a happier time. Thank you, Sydney, for buddy reading this one with me, and I cannot wait to read book 2. The next book I read is, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting my library book, and I'm not. The next book that I read was my favorite book of the whole month, and also going to be on my favorite reads list at the end of the year. That's Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I think Chloe Gong is like an ultimate auto-buy author, because every single book I've read by her has been a 5-star read, with the exception of her debut novel. Her debut novel, I gave it 3 stars, which is kind of weird and funny at the same time. But everything else I read by her has been 5-star reads. I absolutely loved this book. So, funny story with Immortal Longings. I knew it was one of my most anticipated read of the whole year. And I saw that Owlcrate was doing this book for their first adult fantasy box that they had. And I was like, ooh, I must get that box because it's one of my most anticipated read of the year. And I tried to get it, but it was sold out the minute I had it in my cart. And I was so sad because I wanted to read it right away. But then when Book of the Month and when the July Book of the Month options dropped, this was one of the options for July. And I screamed. It was like the best feeling ever. And then I bought this from Book of the Month, obviously, because it's a Book of the Month edition, and it arrived at my doorstep, and I should have read it immediately because that's how excited I was. But after finishing this book, I was a little confused. I will be honest, I was a little bit confused with this ending, because I thought a certain thing happened, but apparently that person is still alive? Like, what, Chloe? How is this happening? This is a Shakespeare retelling of As You Like It, right? I think so. Of Antony and I can never say this right. Cleopatra? I am so sorry. I don't know why that's hard for me to say. And it was just an interesting retelling, and it felt very Hunger Games vibes. And I know this book is getting compared to the Hunger Games, and I've seen some people gave this 5 stars like I did myself, and I've seen people DNF this. I've seen people gave it 3 stars. So I'm pretty curious to see what everybody else's thoughts is this, but I love this book. Again, this is a book I wasn't expecting to love, even though I have read books by this author previously, and I gave 5 stars too. I really enjoyed the Hunger Games aspect. I'm going to say the Hunger Games aspect, even though there's literally just like a tournament in here that is similar to the Hunger Games and even more brutal than what the Hunger Games was. It was a very thrilling ride, I guess I could say, because there was like a moment where I thought I was reading a thriller book instead of Chloe's adult fantasy debut novel. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I cannot wait to talk about this more later on in the year when it becomes a favorite read of mine. And this month, actually at the end of this month, we have Chloe Gong's final book of the Secret Shanghai series, and I'm so sad because like I've read everything up until now, so I'm pretty excited for book 2. I don't know when book 2 comes out. I know she's currently writing book 2, but I really love this. I cannot wait to recommend this to people. If you love the Hunger Games and you want it to be darker and have more romance-centered story, definitely check out Chloe Gong. It was amazing. And for this to be her adult debut fantasy novel, I thought it was going to be longer than what this was. But that was my only complaint about this book, is it was short. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It was short and the ending was a bit confusing to me, but I looked at book reviews and I had like other people explain it to me just because I was a little confused, because I did listen to this via audiobook like the second week of August. So really happy I read this, and as you can tell from that long-winded rant, it's one of my favorite reads of the year, and I cannot wait to see what happens in book 2. I know this is going to be a trilogy by Chloe Gong, so waiting for each of the books coming out will kill me, but I can't wait to read more in the series. It's amazing. Definitely my favorite book I read in August. The next book I don't have, so I'll put a cover up here on the screen, is I Like Me Better by Robbie Weber. I really enjoyed this. This is Robbie's second novel that he ever wrote, and I enjoyed this one immensely as well. It wasn't a 5-star read for me just because there were some scenes in this book that I felt not homophobic, but it dealt with some homophobic stuff in here, and if you read the book, you know why. I now realize also why Robbie was always wearing a shark costume while he was promoting his video. And I know why now, because there's a scene in the book that has somebody to do with a shark costume. It was very cute, very funny. This was a sweet coming of age novel for a main character named Zach. He is a senior in high school he's on his high school soccer team, and he's also the team captain. So he's trying to balance his like not soccer life, like his personal life, and he's trying to balance becoming a team captain for soccer. And it was just an enjoyable, cute rom-com of a novel. I definitely wish I was on the beach while reading this book, because it's set in Florida as well, on like the beaches and at one of the schools and everything. And I've really enjoyed it. Honestly, it's been a while since I've read it, so I kind of forgot some of the characters, but I really enjoyed like the romance for this book. And normally I wouldn't enjoy romance, so pretty happy that I enjoyed this one. It definitely felt a little Heartstopper-y, if that's a word. Felt like Heartstopper meets modern day, I guess, because there was a lot of reference to my idol Taylor Swift, which I loved, and I took screenshots of the quotes that was referencing Taylor Swift, because again, I don't have this book. I borrowed it from my library. I will be buying myself a copy here soon, because I wanted to have it next to his debut novel, which is If You Change Your Mind. I've read both of his books now, and I really enjoyed them. Both. If You Change Your Mind was a 5-star read. This was a 4-star read, only because there was some scenes in here that I didn't really love, that I felt like didn't get dealt with correctly, but that's just my opinion. And again, it's hard for me to talk about like books that I enjoyed, and hard for me to explain why, because I don't want to spoil you guys of what happens in the book. But again, I have my weekly vlogs linked down below. So, and the next book I read was one of my arcs that I had on my TBR shelf forever. I got this arc back in January, and this book came out in April this year, and I don't have a finished copy yet, but I am keeping my arc copy of The Lake House by Sarah Beth Durst. Now, this is one of the few books I physically read this month, and it was such a fun enjoyment of reading this. This has a like little zombie villain person thingy in here. If you read this book, you know. I was not expecting the plot twist we had in here, so that plot twist was quite interesting. Again, this is another book though that confused me with the ending, because it wrapped up the story nicely and perfectly, in my opinion. Actually, I wrote out my review for The Lake House on my phone because I wanted to put this in my Goodreads reviews. So let me just read you what I have here. I have thoughts before I knew going into the book. Knew it had short chapters set in the forest of Maine, which I'm not from Maine, but I feel like I am just because I have family back east. And it had an anxiety rep. And the anxiety rep I felt like was really great. It was a little annoying when the main character kept having to count to herself, but I understand why she was doing it, so I enjoyed it for that. But my review says, overall, it was a fun YA thriller, and I wasn't expecting it to be as gruesome as it was. It had all the twists and turns, and anxiety rep seems to be handled well from someone who doesn't have it. We followed 3 main characters that were not likable at first, but then midway through the story they became likable. I wasn't expecting the twist we got from Jason's development, and wow, that betrayal hurt, but also the way the girls went back on the island and saved him. Spoiler alert. I'm so sorry. I forgot I put my spoiler thoughts in here. And I also said the last paragraph of this book was a bit confusing for me, but it sounded like the author is making this a series out of this, or maybe having a companion novel with this world. Overall rating, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. But yeah, that's literally my thoughts of The Lake House, and I really enjoyed it overall. I definitely will be checking out more by this author, because I think she's going to have either more books in this world And it's funny, I was talking to my friend Nicole, who works at my local public library, and she read this book earlier this year as well, and she said she was also very confused by the ending, because like it wrapped up the story nicely, but like it left it open ending as well. So if it's a first book in a new series, that'll be quite interesting to see where we pick up in the sequel, if there is ever a sequel coming. Very curious about that. But thank you to Epic Reads, I think it was. Yeah, Epic Reads sent me this arc way back in January, and I just now finally got around to reading it. I am so sorry. But overall, I give this 3 out of 5 stars, and I will be buying myself a finished copy soon. And the next book I read was one of my most anticipated reads of the whole year, and I bought this book while I was in San Diego, so again, my San Diego vlog will be up above or down below, and that is none other than One of Us is Back by Karen M. McManus. I think you guys saw this coming. I have a weekly vlog where I was crying at the ending because I loved this trilogy with all my heart. It was amazing. I loved book 1. I wasn't a fan of book 2 because it felt very, book 2 had a little bit of a slump for me type of feeling. But overall, I love the way the series wrapped up. There were so many twists and turns coming at me, and some of the development for the characters was amazing, and there was a cute like reunion scene in here as well, which I won't say who it is because I don't want to spoil you guys of it. Again, it's hard to talk about finales of a trilogy because I don't want to spoil you guys of what happened in book 1 or book 2. I would definitely say if you want a quick, fun thriller trilogy that is now completed, definitely check out One of Us is Back, or One of Us is Lying, because this is the 3rd book. Is it raining and there's sun out? It's raining and there's sun out. Tell me how that works. Anyways, One of Us is Back. It's the final installment of this trilogy, and we get to see some familiar faces, some old faces, and we don't get to see some faces. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. There was some twists and turns in here that I did not see coming, and I kept turning the pages left and right, well, to the right, and I cannot put this book down. And even from the dedication of this book from the author, I was already a little emotional because it says, "For my readers," like, doesn't that hit you in the feels? If you've been with this trilogy, you know why. I'm so sad to say goodbye to this trilogy because, like I said, it's one of my favorite, and it also has great queer representation in here as well, which I was not expecting from this author. But yeah, there is great queer representation in here, and this was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and it did not disappoint me, and I was so happy it didn't because I was so nervous that I wouldn't like this book because it's been so long since I read book 2. But once I started reading this, I was like, oh yeah, I remember who this was, I remember who that was. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. I love this book. 5 out of 5 stars in case you couldn't tell, and I am sad to say goodbye to the series, but I still have like other books by Karen that I need to read. So maybe I'll see some of these characters in her other books. I'm not too sure. Don't spoil it for me if you read her other standalone novels. But I'm really happy to say goodbye because I loved how it left off, and I'm a little sad that it's gone. But again, happy that I finished another series because my series list has not been great lately. The second and final book I read this month, I was so blown away by how much I liked this. This was on my 5-star prediction list, and it wasn't quite a 5 stars because they killed off some characters that I really loved and like I was really like growing attached to. And that is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. I picked this up because I have this beautiful, stunning edition from Owlcrate. I think this was their 2022 box or their 2021 box. I can't remember exactly, but it's been on my shelf for a long time, and I was like, let me pick this up. This sounds like it will be a fun Little Mermaid retelling. And yes, it was a fun Little Mermaid retelling, but it was also a lot darker than I anticipated. And the author killed off 2 side characters I love. I won't say their names because I want you guys to go into it and enjoy it. I would say there's a cliffhanger in this book too. So if you're like me and you don't have book 2, definitely buy book 2 before reading this book, because I wish I have book 2 in my hand right now. But sadly I don't. But I do know I'm on hold for it at my library, but I'm like number 3 on the list. So hopefully I'll get it soon, because I really want to see how this duology will wrap up and to see what will happen in book 2, which is called Soul of the Deep. I'll put a cover of it right here. It is so stunning. I love the purple. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. At first it was a little slow and a little confusing because of the magic system they had in here was a little confusing for me. Like, with their magic system, they had a whole like different language that wasn't even English or Spanish or whatnot. So that was quite confusing for me. I even mentioned to my friend Taylor, because like in the beginning I couldn't see the like Little Mermaid aspect in the book, but like halfway through the book it hit me and I was like, oh yeah, this is part of the Little Mermaid, or this is what she took from the Little Mermaid and all that. So I really enjoyed this book, and I'm also better reading book 2 with my friend Jessica, who's in my Queer Reads book club group chat. I'll leave her Instagram down below. Definitely check her out. So Jessica, I cannot wait to better read book 2 in the month of September, whenever my library hold comes in, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna be so sad. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I was really shocked of how much I enjoyed it, and I'm happy to have another Owlcrate off my list, and I'm happy to say I enjoyed Natasha's debut novel, and I cannot wait to read more from her, if she has more coming or if it's just the series. Overall rating, I give a 4 out of 5 star. It wasn't quite a 5 star, but I also have another book off my 5-star prediction list. And I'm saving the best for last, and that is my paper falling, and that is Fury of the Dragon Goddess by Surat Chadha. I finally got around to reading this book, and if you know why I said that, is because I had the arc since April of this year, and I had the arc since then. I'm actually going to do an art giveaway here on my Instagram and TikTok, because I'm close to 1,000 on TikTok. So thank you so much for getting me to 1,000. I bought myself a finished copy because I wanted to support the author, and I thought it would look so pretty next to book 1 on the shelf, and it really does. The blue and the purple complement each other so well, and I'm sad to say goodbye to this world, but also at the same time, I feel like there could be a 3rd book in this series. I just don't know what the type of quest it would be for book 3, but I just feel like with how this book ended, it felt like it wrapped up the series, but it felt like there could be more, if that makes sense. Again, it's hard to talk about sequels just because I don't want to spoil you guys of what happened in here. But I really loved it. It has some cute, funny scenes between, is it Sick, like S-I-K. I really loved the trio we got. I can't say the demon's name, but there's a demon who became, who's like Sick's buddy. And the demon made me laugh, and especially in this book there was a scene in here where she was eating rats, and I was like, this is gross. But I listened to this via audiobook while following along, and I really enjoyed it. I love Vikas Adams narrating. I think he's becoming one of my new favorite narrators, so well done. I know you don't watch my videos, but well done. I really enjoy this, and again, it's hard to talk about sequels without spoiling you guys of what happened in book 1, but definitely check this out. This definitely has more humor in this book than book 1 did, because I felt like book 1 was a bit darker than what book 2 was, and this dragon right here quickly became one of my favorite characters. This dragon is our villain that we have to hunt down and discover, and oh my gosh, I loved it. This is definitely a great dragon book, even though it is the 2nd book of the series, but overall I really enjoyed it. And again, I feel like there could be more coming in this world. I don't know if there is, but if there is, that'll be amazing. I give this one 5 out of 5 stars. And with that, that is everything I have read in the month of August. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumb up. Hit that subscribe button to turn your notification on so you don't miss any new videos coming from me soon. And I'll talk to you guys down in the comments below. If you read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them. I would love to hear your guys' opinion and if we read similar this month. Let me know what you are looking forward to in the month of September, as it is September 2nd while I'm filming this video. I think you guys will see this September 10th, I think, or something like that. You'll see the second week of September. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys down in the comments. Leave a dragon emoji, because I just love dragons as a villain. Leave a dragon emoji down below if you made it all the way through, and I'll talk to you guys down below. Bye!